narrative. We cannot allow it to continue to create division and hate in this country. While we cannot allow the divisive rhetoric to continue to control the narrative that happens in our courtrooms, in our boardrooms, in our state legislature. It is unacceptable. In the words of 12-year-old Miriam from Connecticut, a hijabi Arthur at 12 years old, I repeat her saying, inclusion revolution. It is our responsibility as leaders and legislators to promote diversity and inclusion and to stand in the gap for our most vulnerable citizens. When we create spaces that promote inclusion and representation, we make America great. We make America great. All Americans, white Americans, black Americans, Latino Americans, Asian Americans, Muslim Americans, Christian Americans, Jew Americans, we all have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So with that being said, take out your phones, hashtag inclusion revolution, because we stand in the gap. We stand together. We stand with Elhan. We stand for true democracy that will make America great.
Very brief introduction, and we have some special guests that are going to come and join us in just a little bit. But I want to introduce State Senator the Honorable Nina Turner. And if you don't know who she is, whenever you hear on CNN or MSNBC or mainstream media distributing some distortions about our people and our struggle and the issues, if Nina Turner is anywhere near, she puts it to rest. She is a freedom fighter in the best tradition, fighting inside, outside, and all around the centers of power that we recognize here, but grounded with working class black people, grounded in grassroots movements. Every time I see her on my telly, I'm applauding and knowing that she's speaking my voice and speaking truth to power. So welcome, Nina Turner.
Wow. Thank you, Professor. And thank you for all the visionaries who had the courage to bring us all together. To all of my sisters who have gone before me, not just on this stage, but I am feeling the spirit of our foremothers who have gone generations before. But when people try to cancel out history, and to have Dr. Angela Davis on this stage who personifies, who put her body on the line, who spoke truth, nothing but the truth, show enough truth, as my grandmother used to say. And what an honor it is to be in her presence yet again. You know, my grandmother used to say that you can put truth in the river 5 days after lie, but truth gonna catch up. And the truth of the matter has caught up with our country, and its latest manifestation of 21st century bigotry, 21st century hatred, 21st century cowardice is in the White House. But sisters and brothers, I would be remiss, as I told the professor, that it is easy to lay all of this haterism at the feet of one person. But I asked you to go back down memory lane with me, that in this country, wholesale anti-blackness is accepted, whether it's by the man in the White House or people who occupy levels of power in this country. It is bigger than him. And sisters and brothers, we have been here before. So none of this is new to us. So standing up for our sister, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who is the representation of the type of bigotry that we have allowed to go on far too long in this country. If I may and if I might. Brother Malcolm X once said, when he described the difference between the North and the South. He said it was the difference between the fox and the wolf. I am here today to say that the difference between what we see emanating from the White House and the difference between what we see and hear and know to be coming from other folks with fancy titles on the other side of the aisle is the difference between the fox and the wolf. And all I'm saying, sisters, is that if we're not going to tolerate bigotry and hatred coming from the White House, then we need not tolerate bigotry and sexism and racism and homophobia coming from the other side of the aisle. Folks always like to whisper sweet nothings in the ears of black women when it comes time for us to vote, but they support and respect our black bodies, our black babies, our black communities beyond the power of the vote. So I stand with Sister Ilhan Omar. We don't need leaders with fancy titles who may not have the courage to call out bigotry. We ourselves will call out that type of bigotry. We stand on the backs of black foremothers who had the audacity to speak truth to power. When Sister Sojourner Truth said, "Ain't I a woman?" in the 1850s. When Sister Ida B. Wells, in terms of talking about what it is like to see black bodies swinging from trees, she said, "I must prove that there's more sinning going on by other folks than sinning by black folks." When Sister Harriet Tubman encouraged us, and if we hear the dogs, keep going. If there are torches in the woods, keep going. If they're shouting after us, keep going. If we want a taste of freedom, keep going. And then our sister, Dr. Maya Angelou, said these precious words: "You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I rise." To my black sisters, to my brown sisters, to my swirl in between sisters, to indigenous sisters, I say that we will rise over hatred. We will rise over bigotry. We will rise over anti-Semitism. We will rise over Islamophobia. And we will rise over all types of anti-blackness and colorism. Hello, somebody. We will rise and create for ourselves and future generations in this country a force that is greater than nature, a force of conscious-minded people, all walk of life, all standing up for justice, equality, and all that's good. We rise. We are joined by the very powerful, the very courageous, the very outstanding leader, Congressman Ilhan Omar. And it is our duty and our responsibility today to not just show her how much we are willing to stand in defense of her, but also how much we love her. Can y'all do that with me? Can you do it with me, family?
All right, y'all. Here we go. We love you. 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 Louder. Love you. We 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 love you. Thank you. We love you, Representative Omar. Thank you. Awesome.
How y'all doing? How we doing? tell you, we are also joined by other freedom fighters in Congress as well. We are joined by powerful women in Congress who are there doing what? They are moving agenda. They are speaking truth to power. They are representing our values. And that don't know how to respect our values. And so I want you to do me a favor. We need to show some love to Congressman Ayanna Pressley, who will join us. Or we're gonna show Congressman Pressley some love. Please join me in introducing and welcoming Congressman Ayanna Pressley.
All right, good afternoon, family. So, for those of you that don't know, I had an accident and I tore my MCL. So my limbs have been compromised, but my voice is strong as ever. And I had to come here to lend my voice in solidarity. I happen to be a congresswoman, but before all the commas and titles, I'm a black woman. And Ilhan's my sister. And so I just wanted to be here in solidarity. I want to thank, everyone that made this moment possible, those who have been lifting up and praying and carrying our sister Ilhan. And, I just want to quote Angela Davis, who said, "I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I can no longer accept." And so, this is so real. Okay, bring it on back, Anna. But I am changing the things I can no longer accept. And from R. Kelly to Donald Trump, what we can no longer accept is the silencing of black women. This is the reckoning. This is us assuming our rightful place as the table shakers, as the truth tellers, as the justice seekers, as the preservers of democracy. We are demanding that you trust black women, that you see black women, that you believe black women, and honor us for the role that we have played as healers and preservers of this democracy and this nation. You have been feeding quite literally off of us. This is nothing charitable. This is what we are owed. This is what we are owed. This is what we deserve. Hands off Ilhan. And we can talk about the occupant. Now listen, I've been in government a long time, and people think I'm disrespecting the institution when I refer to that man as the occupant. I'm not disrespecting him. He dishonors this office, and that's why he doesn't deserve that title. He's the occupant. He's just occupying space. He dishonors the office, and we dishonor him for that. I can't even believe that we're in a debate about whether or not to impeach when the occupant, the man in the highest office in the land, emboldens white supremacy and endangers the lives of a member of Congress. Our sisters, we just call her by one name, Ilhan, but she is a representative, a member of Congress. This is unconscionable. Hands off Ilhan. And we can talk about the occupant in the corner office, and we can because I can't sit idly by while we walk in contradiction and hypocrisy and go into our districts and affirm and lift up our commitments to the preservation of families and fighting for immigrants and refugees in our districts. But I can't protect my sister in her own caucus. That's not okay. And that's why we're here. And they're surprised that we're here. And that we'll continue to be here because we are not going quietly into the night. There are attempts to silence us in their silence by being complicit. There are attempts to silence us through legislation. There are attempts to silence us through their movements. A great activist friend of mine once said, it's not that the marginalized are voiceless, it's that they are unheard. And so to that I say, can you hear us now? Hands off Ilhan. We love you, Ilhan. I love you, my sister, and thank you all for being here.
Hands off.
Ilhan.
Hands off.
Ilhan.
Hands off.
Ilhan.
Do y'all see this power?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
It is with great pleasure to introduce the next Congresswoman, this powerful leader, this history maker, this person that is also moving a powerful agenda for us, for our people, for our children. We are here to stand with Congressman Rashida Tlaib. We are here to stand in solidarity with Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. Thank you, sister. I think you say my last name so beautifully. Tlaib, it's like emphasis. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. Ilhan, I love you, Habibti. You know how much I love you. She gave me a bracelet that said Mama Bear. Because every time, I always worry about my sisters constantly. But I am so protective. You know, I'm there. But one of the things that's incredibly beautiful and inspiring about Sister Ilhan Omar is that when I'm like, are you okay? Remember that time, Ilhan, in the colloquium? You're like, Rashida, I survived war. I can survive them. I will never forget that, because at that moment I was like, I'm not that worried about her anymore. Like, I just felt like, okay, I'm going to have her stand next to me when I got to get up and fight. But I got to tell you, being here 4 months, it's a love-hate relationship. I'm going to be honest with my sisters. You know, I grew up in the most beautiful, blackest city in the country, in the city of Detroit. And many of my teachers, my mothers on the block, all of them accepted me as a Palestinian woman, as a woman that understood it through the lens of my ancestors, through the lens of my living grandmother in the West Bank and the occupied territories of Palestine. They knew what I meant when I talked about the pain of oppression or the pain of feeling less than. And I remember Ilhan saying that to me once, like, you know, Rashida, I was born in a community where I was the majority. But you were born in a country where you felt like you were second class immediately when you were born, right? And this is a woman that speaks that way, that is raw, that is real. And I cannot stand that they continue to police her. They continue to police our words. They continue to police our positions. But I say hands off. Hands off of the women of color that serve in the United States Congress. Not only do we look differently, but we serve and we fight differently. And it also means that we talk differently. It's also that we are allowed to be angry in this country. And I tell all this to my sisters, that as we fight and turn this is what fuels us. This is what gives us courage for you all to be here. Siding with this woman that elevates so many young women. I can tell you tears of joy when they come up to us. I was telling them how this beautiful young girl, Palestinian American girl, who had a blazer on and she kept going like this, his mother's QQ. I was like, oh, she wants me to recognize her blazer. And she's going like this. Her name is Rian. And Rihanna was going this, well, Rihanna, I love your blazer. And she says, I'm trying to look like you. I was like, girl, forget Congress, run for president. And do you know what she said? Uh-huh. And I thought to myself at that moment, you know, Sister Angela, I thought that at that moment, I'm like, this is bigger than my fight against corporate greed in Detroit. Like, this is so much bigger than me fighting against corporate polluters and freeing my residents, my people at home of the corporate assault on their lives. Yes. At that moment, I left and got into the car and I felt so much more liberated, because there is a new generation of women that are growing up seeing the courage of women like Ayanna Pressley and women like Ilhan Omar, who speak truth to power unapologetically. And I'm telling you right now, Ilhan,
No more. No more apologies, no more policing, no more backing down. As you all stand here, I want you to know movements like this start with all of you, not in the halls of Congress. So don't abandon us like you are doing right now. This is amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving us more power and giving us more courage to continue our fight for justice and equality for all of us. Thank you so much. God bless.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank the Movement for Black Lives, Barbara Ransby especially, and all of the organizers of this important action in defense of our sister, Ilhan Omar. Black women in defense of Ilhan Omar. And in defense of our right to take a stand for justice for Palestine, to take a stand against Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and their irrelationalities, to take a stand against racism and patriarchy. It is about time we stepped up to defend those who represent our political vision on the front lines of struggle. I feel particularly motivated to join this amazing group because the attack against Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, while it is clearly directed at her as an individual, is also designed to dissuade all of us from speaking out on issues that are considered controversial. The attacks on her emanating from the occupants' Twitter feed. That's right, the occupants' Twitter feed. And the numerous threats of assassination from white nationalists and their supporters are a way of sending messages to other black women, to all who hold radical and progressive political views, that they too can be made into targets of vitriolic, violent racism. Be quiet, or you will suffer the fate of Ilhan Omar. That is the message. But we do not heed that message. We refuse to be quiet. Like Ilhan, we refuse to be quiet on the issue of Israel. Like Ilhan, Rashida Tlaib, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Ayanna Pressley, and thank the both of you for your powerful remarks. And all of their allies, you have to let us know who your allies are. We refuse to be quiet on the issue of human rights and justice for Palestine. We refuse to be quiet when it comes to the rights of immigrants, especially the undocumented, and the rights of Muslims. We will not participate in the legitimation of xenophobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, racism, and misogyny. We stand up because the logic of scapegoating, which emanates from the White House, is increasingly replacing political discourse designed to illuminate and enlighten, replacing that political discourse with mystification and obfuscation. Immigrants and Muslims are represented as the responsible parties when it comes to the impact of global capitalism. The increasing impoverishment of the working class is a function of the sustained attack on the labor movement and the increasing concentration of wealth in the hands of a few. According to the logic of scapegoating, it is immigrants and Muslims who are responsible. Immigrants are taking jobs away from so-called American workers. The real problem does not reside in the global super exploitation emanating from capitalism, but rather from what is referred to as global terrorism. And according to this logic of scapegoating, Muslims are the terrorists. Combined with this logic of scapegoating is a fungibility that is always at the heart of racism. If one person or a few people engage in or are accused of engaging in a crime, the entire community is rendered culpable. This is the logic of lynch now. This is the fungibility that is at the heart of racism that Ilhan Omar was. That some people do something and all of us lose access to civil liberties. We stand with Ilhan Omar because we recognize that the government of this country is at the forefront of a dangerous, far-right international pattern that includes Duterte in Brazil, the re-election. In fact, by defending Ilhan Omar, we celebrate the legacy of Marielle Franco, activist against racism and police violence and homophobia in Brazil, member of the Rio de Janeiro City Council. And of course, she was assassinated a little more than a year ago. We defend Ilhan because we contest the conflation of legitimate, impassioned critique of Israel with anti-Semitism, and the fabrication of a notion that when the left calls for justice in Palestine, when the left supports BDS, then it has become the anti-Semitic left. This indicates a failure to take anti-Semitism seriously, and the manipulation of charges of anti-Semitism in a way that recalls the McCarthy era, and its manipulation of charges of being communist or communist sympathizers or friends or acquaintances of communist sympathizers. If you want to effectively challenge anti-Semitism, then you must recognize the intersections and interrelations of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. And of course, the recent attacks on synagogues and mosques are evidence of this convergence. I'd like to thank Jewish Voice for Peace, and If Not Now, for continually reminding us of this connection. And finally, as Black women in defense of Ilhan Omar, we invite all who believe in freedom and justice and peace to join us. Thank you.
Thank you. We all know why we are here. We are here because when we hear her speak, she brings a kind of courage, a kind of power, a kind of love that moves all of us, that tells us that it is our time to be courageous, to be powerful, to choose love, to choose courage, and to never let hate be the reason you choose not to speak words to power. Yes. We are here because she's ours. We're here because we will always defend her. We know that she will never stop fighting, and we hope that she knows that we will never stop defending her. We are here because we love you, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. We are here because we will never stop fighting for you, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. And we are here
because you inspire us. Please join me in welcoming the powerful, the amazing, the inspiring Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
Assalamu alaikum. Subah wanaagsan. I'm a little emotional. Everyone knows that I refuse to cry. I talk about this all the time. I always say that nobody really deserves my tears or any of my sister's tears. But you all have moved me to tears with your love, and I am just grateful to all of you. To one of my idols, Angela Davis, I can't tell you how enormously inspiring you've been to me throughout my life. The work that you have done in making us realize that we have to be internally liberated to fight for external liberation has been life-saving for people like me who had to navigate what it feels like to grow up black in this country. So thank you. To my sisters who give me strength in the movement for Black lives, I am forever grateful to all of you. To Nina, who always brings down the house. I heard your voice all the way from the Capitol. And I was like, that's probably Nina or Ayanna, one of them. And to my sisters, our squad, people are like, you call yourselves a squad. I'm like, I don't know if we do that, you call us that. But we are certainly sisters in the struggle to fight for authentic progress for all of our communities. And Rashida was right. I bought all of them bracelets when I was in Austin a couple of weeks ago. And it all had messages to what they mean to me. I think of Ayanna as someone who never takes no for an answer. Even as she broke her leg. Constantly getting up, making sure that she was fighting for all of us, using the strength of her voice. So what I got her bracelet says unstoppable. And everybody knows Rashida is the eldest of 14 kids. And she is Mama Bear. And so that's what her bracelet says. And to my sister Alexandria, who isn't here, her bracelet says, Boss Babe, because she's fierce. And mine says, Badass. And here's why. Here's the thing that really offends a lot of people and the reason that we are here. I was born as a very liberated human being to a country that was colonized, that recognized can colonize the land, but they can't colonize your mind. To people who recognized that all of us deserve dignity and that no human being was ever going to tell you that you were less than them. 13 people organized for our independence in Somalia. Wow. So I was born in that breath of recognizing that they might be more powerful than you are. Yeah. They might have more technology than you have, but you control your mind, and that is what sets you free. That's right. Thing that upsets the occupant of the White House, his goons in the Republican Party, many of our colleagues in the Democratic Party, is that they can't stand that a refugee, a black woman, an immigrant, a Muslim shows up in Congress thinking she's equal to them. But I say to them, how else did you expect me to show up? So here's the reality. I tell people every single day, I have a certificate that everyone else has hanged in their offices in Congress. The same exact certificate of election. But I got more people who voted for me and sent me here than 428 of them. So when they say, who does she think she is? When they say, who does she think she is? I am the one that the people sent to be a voice for them. So we have to always recognize that one marginalized voice represents many marginalized voices. But I don't only represent one marginalized voice. Because in this country, I also happen to be a woman. I happen to be a Muslim. And I also happen to be a refugee and an immigrant from what they call one of the shithole countries. The reality is that shithole country raised a very proud, dignified person. Our circumstances might not always be perfect, but that doesn't lessen our humanity. And I am not in the business of defending mine. So when this occupant of the White House chooses to attack me, we know that attack isn't for Ilhan. That attack is the continuation of the attacks that he's leveled against women, against people of color, against immigrants, against refugees, and certainly against Muslims. And we are collectively saying, your vile attacks, your demented views are not welcome here. This is not going to be the country of the xenophobics. This is not going to be the country of white people. This is not going to be the country of the few. This is the country of the many. This is a country that was founded on the history of Native American genocide, on the backs of black slaves, but also by immigrants. And so as much as we need to remedy the history that we continue to neglect, we also must recognize that every liberty that we enjoy here, every single progress we get to celebrate, came about because immigrants participated in it.
Yes.
So I know my place in this society. All of you know your place in this society. And it's one that is equal to every single person that walks in it. But my sisters and I also know our place in Congress. We know that we each represent 780,000 constituents, just like everyone else does. We know that the fight for liberation doesn't only stay in the walls of this country, but it's one that's connected to every single community around the world. Because when Palestinians are struggling with occupation, and their dehumanization isn't being talked about, that is on us to uplift them.
Yes.
When we hear the voices and the struggles of Venezuelans, we say, leave their sovereignty alone. Let them fight for their own liberation. Because we know that our liberations are collective. That my freedom isn't worthy of much if my sisters and brothers aren't free.
Yes.
And my joy isn't much if everyone else isn't living a joyous life. A prosperity for me should never come in the expense of prosperity for everyone. That there is no way that I lose sleep over the safety of my children. I can't lose sleep over the safety of everyone else's children. And at this moment, the occupant of the White House, as my sister Ayanna likes to call him, and his allies are doing everything that they can to distance themselves and misinform the public from the monsters that they created that is terrorizing the Jewish community and the Muslim community. Because when we are talking about anti-Semitism, we must also talk about Islamophobia.
Yes.
It's two sides of the same coin of bigotry.
Yes.
When they shove that to us and say we're the party of hate, they forget that we're the party of love. We're the party of compassion. We're the party of inclusiveness. What we are fighting for is not for the few, but for the many.
Yes.
Every single one, just this week, when we've had the attack in California on a synagogue, it's the same person who's accused of attempting to bomb a mosque. So I can't ever speak of Islamophobia and fight for Muslims if I am not willing to fight against anti-Semitism. We collectively must make sure that we are dismantling all systems of oppression.
Yes.
And as we did in the last two election cycles, we've all risen up and said, all are welcome. I remember showing up at Andre Carson's office. He had refugees are welcome, and I opened the door and said, here I am. This has been our message. We say, right, we're fighting against Islamophobia. All refugees are welcome. It's the land of immigrants. Black Lives Matter. But we show clear hypocrisy when we're not doing the work here in Congress, and standing up to defend all of the marginalized identities that are being attacked through me. So this isn't a pity party for Ilhan. This is about a show of strength. Right? This is a show of strength. This is for us to say, that when you come after one of us, you come after all of us. And when one of us, because I'm a big person, as you all can see, I'm very tiny, it's not because I have some weird internalized strength. It's not only because I'm a survivor of war, and if I survived militia, I certainly can survive these people. But it is because every single place I go, I know that I am walking in with all of you hand in hand. So I know that every time I interact with someone, every time I speak, every time I take a vote, that all of you are walking in with me. That is why people react very differently towards me than they do with others. So, as Rashida said, don't desert us. We're going to need you. Right? I told Miski, my sister, Miski Noor, who's from Minneapolis. Wave, Miski. When I first got elected, they had a gathering for me in a collective home that they shared, the folks in the movement for Black Lives. And a young woman started crying. And she said, Ilhan, I'm glad we did the work in getting you elected, but now I'm really sad. And I said, well, why are you sad? And she said, well, I'm afraid that once you get there, you're going to become just like everyone else. And I said, well, everyone else becomes that way because they forget who they represent. I am never going to be at risk of becoming everyone else who works in feeding corporate greed, because I know that all of you are going to sit me down at every moment that you get and remind me what my purpose is, who I am fighting for, and who has my back. So I humbly thank you all for showing up. I got you, and we're gonna be all right.
We love you. 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 We love you.
Can I, the Congress people have to go back. There's a vote. Please let them leave. There's a car waiting for them. They know to feel your love.
I have to go. I'm sorry, my meeting.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just don't want you to
Just say
stress
hello.
out about trying to get
We have two last speakers. Please don't leave. We have two brief speakers. Alicia Garza, one of the founders of the Movement for Black Lives, wants to say one word of solidarity.
Love you. On my behalf. Lord, have mercy. Please. Thank you, sis.
You're wonderful. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be in touch. Say a word or two. Oh, Alicia, please. You gotta go. I know.
All right,
I'm gonna wait in the thing.
All right, I'm only going to take a minute because I feel like Ilhan said everything needs to be said. I'm only going to take a minute because I feel like my sister Angela said everything that needs to be said. But I want to ask y'all a question. Because when I look at these sisters on the stage and I see them in the halls of Congress, I think to myself, this is exactly what my U.S. Congress should look like. This is exactly what my U.S. Congress people should be speaking about. This is exactly the type of stance that my representatives should be having. But there's a question that I have for us. What are we willing to do to make sure that we can proliferate women like Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, proliferate like Congresswomen Rashida Tlaib? How do we make sure that there are more of them? One of the things that we have to do is not just vote. Voting is important, but voting is one step.
Yes.
One of the things that we have to make sure that we do is stay engaged.
Yes.
We cannot just watch while Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is attacked. Congresswoman Omar knows how to defend defend herself. The question is, are we going to stand up for her right to be in that building? Are we going to stand up and make sure that there are many more of her in that building? Well, what that means, y'all, is that when we leave here, that this momentum does not stop. What it means is that these rallies need to happen in state legislatures across the country to embolden your representative to stand with Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. What it means, y'all, is that we cannot continue to use black women and Palestinian women and Muslim women as window dressing to make us feel better about the things that we're doing. We actually have to stand with them and stand for ourselves, quite frankly. So I want to thank the Movement for Black Lives for organizing this event. I want to thank Black Lives Matter DC for organizing this event, for giving us the courage to stand up and to defend our sister, but also to defend our movement. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a beautiful connection between people struggling inside Congress on our behalf and people building movement like Alicia Garza. And our last speaker, don't leave yet, is Keeanga-Yamahtta Taylor. Keeanga is a scholar, an activist, a longtime freedom fighter, and she's going to close us out. Don't go. She'll be brief but important.
Hello. I don't want to belabor the point, but we are here to stand in solidarity with Rick, Muslim, immigrant, and refugee, has made her a target for the right wing. But we know that the coordinated attacks against her, orchestrated by the right, and the reluctance of some liberals and the Democratic Party to offer a full-throated defense of her is not just because of who she is, but what she represents. She could have enjoyed a life of relative obscurity in Congress. There are more black members in Congress than there have been in this nation's history. But no one, short of Maxine Waters, has received the scrutiny, attack, and vilification that Ilhan Omar has. And that is clear that it's not just who she is, but what it is that she represents. And her willingness to confront the massive inequality in the United States has made her a target. Her willingness to call for the redistribution of resources in this country to end the embarrassment of inequality in the distribution of healthcare, education, and the quality of life has made her a target. The right wing, in the absence of being able to challenge her politics and ideas, have resorted to smears and vilification. They only want to distract with their attempts to normalize Trump's racism and white supremacy as it unleashes and activates the thugs on the margins of white supremacy. They want to silence and intimidate anyone who disagrees with them. And we reject that by refusing to be silent. Not only do we stand with Ilhan Omar as a basic gesture of solidarity, but we stand with Representative Omar's political agenda based in justice and democracy. We stand with her culture in this country that worships the wealthy and powerful while ignoring the struggles of ordinary people. We stand with her agenda. We stand with Representative Omar in her efforts to call out the hypocrisy of an American foreign policy that claims to bomb and fund tyranny in the name of democracy. We know that in a country that has forced us to say Black Lives Matter, it cannot be trusted to claim the mantle of freedom and justice when abroad. Ilhan Omar has called out this hypocrisy, and this is why they hate her, and her fearlessness, and her unwillingness to play the game by their rules. So we stand with us. Thank you.
How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling? So we're about to close out, but before we do, I'd like to invite up Patience from the group Boots Camp that's going to give us a bit of culture, a bit of music before we end.
I'm not a speaker. I'm just here to sing y'all out. But trust black women. Black women matter. And I stand with Ilhan, so it's just me up here. So if y'all feel like clapping, if y'all want to dance, come through, all right? Hold on to the world as it spins around. Just don't let the spin get you down. Things are moving fast. Just hold on and you will last. Take it from me, someday we'll all be free. Yeah. Take it from me, someday we'll all be free. Yeah. Hold on to your self-respect, your black women's pride. Get yourself in gear, keep your stride. There will be a brighter day. Brighter days are near. Take it from me, someday we'll all be free. Yeah. Take it from me, someday we'll all be free. Can y'all sing that with me? Someday we'll all be free. Y'all can do better than that. I can't hear y'all. Come on, yeah. Take it from me. Someday we'll all be free.
Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Wasn't that beautiful? Wasn't that beautiful? Could we honor and celebrate this beautiful black human who just graced us with this beautiful voice? All right, that brings us to a close. We love you. Are we in this together? Are we in this together? All right, love you, family. Please disperse.
You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play. Peace.